The classroom remained silent for several long minutes after Jake finished his presentation. The only sounds were Zephyr's quiet whimpering and the occasional tinkle of crystal pieces falling from Quarza's stressed body. Professor Clickstar stood, frozen at the front of the room, his forearms hanging motionless as his mind tried to process what he had just learned. Finally, Luna slowly began to unfold from her silver ball. Her reflective skin was now a dull gray color, and she moved like someone who had just woken up from a terrible nightmare. "Jake," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "are you saying that humans are the apex predators of your entire planet?" Jake considered this question seriously. "I guess that's one way to put it, but we don't really think of ourselves that way. We just think of ourselves as human." Max had now uncurled completely, though his tentacles were still shaking. "But if you are such dangerous predators, why did the Galactic Council allow you to join? Why aren't they afraid of you?" "Because we don't want to hurt anyone," Jake explained. "Humans fight when we have to, but we prefer to solve problems by talking and working together. The same intelligence that made us good hunters also made us good at cooperation." Stella slowly uncoiled, her scales settling into a nervous purple. "But surely your government leaders know how dangerous your species is." Jake laughed again, causing several students to flinch. "Actually, most humans don't think of themselves as dangerous at all. We think of ourselves as pretty fragile and weak. We spend a lot of time worrying about getting hurt." He pulled up another image on his device, showing humans wearing protective gear for simple activities like riding bicycles or playing sports. "See? We wear helmets to ride bikes because we might fall and hurt our heads. We put on special clothes to play games because we might get bruised. Most humans think we're delicate and need protection from everything." Finn creaked softly, a few more leaves falling to the floor. "This does not make sense. How can apex predators think they are fragile?" "Because we compare ourselves to other humans, not to other animals," Jake said. "When I see a tiger, I think, wow, that's a powerful and dangerous animal. But when a tiger sees a human, it thinks, that's a weird, slow creature that might be dangerous in a group." Professor Clickstar finally found his voice. "Mr. Morrison, what you are describing suggests that humans have no natural fear response to these predators." "Oh, we have fear," Jake corrected. "But we also have curiosity that's often stronger than our fear. When humans see something dangerous, our first thought is usually, I wonder how that works, or I bet I could figure out how to survive that." Quarza's crystal voice chimed weakly. "The data files mentioned that humans engage in something called extreme sports. Could you explain this?" Jake's grin returned. "Oh, this is going to be fun. Extreme sports are activities humans do for entertainment that involve risking death or serious injury." He started showing new images: humans jumping off cliffs with parachutes, humans surfing waves the size of buildings, humans climbing ice-covered mountains, humans racing vehicles at incredible speeds. This is skydiving. Humans jump out of perfectly good aircraft for fun. This is surfing. Humans ride on waves that could easily kill them. This is mountain climbing. Humans climb rock faces that are nearly vertical, often without safety equipment. With each new image, the alien students seem to shrink further into themselves. This is bungee jumping. Humans tie a rope to their feet and jump off bridges. This is white water rafting. Humans ride small boats down rivers that are trying to smash them against rocks. This is cave diving. Humans swim through underwater caves where they could easily get lost and drown. Max made a sound like a deflating balloon. "Why would anyone do these things voluntarily?" "Because they're fun," Jake said simply. "Humans like challenges. We like testing ourselves against danger. We like proving that we can survive things that should kill us." Zephyr finally emerged completely from under his desk, though his fur was still standing on end. "Do all humans do these dangerous activities?" "Not all, but enough that we have entire industries built around them. Millions of humans spend their free time doing things that could kill them, just because it makes them feel alive." Stella's scales were now cycling through colors so rapidly they were creating a rainbow effect. "What about your young? Surely you protect your offspring from these dangers." Jake showed them images of human children. Kids climbing trees, swimming in oceans, playing sports, riding bicycles, camping in wilderness areas. Human children start learning to deal with danger very early. We teach them to climb trees, swim, in deep water, ride fast vehicles, and explore wild areas. We think it's important for them to learn how to handle scary situations. But what if they get hurt? Luna asked. Then they learn from their mistakes and become more careful, Jake said. Humans believe that children who never face any danger grow up to be weak adults who can't handle real problems. Professor Clickster had been quietly updating something on his own device throughout Jake's presentation. Now he looked up with an expression that reminded Jake of someone who had just solved a very difficult puzzle. "Mr. Morrison," the professor said slowly, "I believe I understand now why the Galactic Military Council was so eager to recruit humans for their forces." "Really?" Jake asked. "What did they tell you?" "They said humans were persistent, adaptable, and surprisingly effective in dangerous situations," Clickstar replied. "I thought they meant you were good at following orders and staying calm under pressure." "And now?" The professor's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Now I believe they meant that humans are apex predators who actively seek out danger and refuse to give up no matter how hopeless the situation becomes." Jake thought about this for a moment. "Yeah, that sounds about right." The bell rang, indicating the end of class. As the alien students slowly began gathering their things, moving like creatures who had just survived a natural disaster, Jake packed up his notebook device and prepared to leave. "Jake!" Quarza called out, her crystal voice still shaky. "Will you be in class tomorrow?" "Of course," Jake replied. "Why wouldn't I be?" "After today," Zephyr said quietly. "I think we all understand why the professor should probably warn us before showing footage from your homeworld again." Jake laughed one more time as he headed for the door. "Oh, tomorrow we're supposed to present on recreational activities from our homeworlds. I was thinking of showing some videos of humans doing something we call volcano boarding. You slide down the side of an active volcano on a piece of metal, just for fun." Behind him, Jake heard the sound of Quarza's crystal body developing several new stress fractures, and Finn dropping what sounded like half of his remaining leaves onto the classroom floor. As he walked down the hallway toward his next class, Jake could hear Professor Clickstar making a note in his files about the need to reclassify humans in the galactic database. He was pretty sure the classification was going to change from emerging intelligent species to something much more interesting, and he was absolutely certain that tomorrow's class was going to be even more fun than today's had been. The transport ship shook as it docked with the massive prison station. Jake Murphy pressed his face against the small window and saw nothing but endless black space dotted with distant stars. The station looked like a giant metal spider floating in the void, with long arms stretching out in all directions. "Welcome to your new home, human," said the guard in broken English. The creature looked like a giant insect walking on two legs. Its skin was hard and shiny like armor, and its eyes were made up of hundreds of tiny pieces that reflected light in strange ways. Jake's hands were bound with energy cuffs that glowed blue. He had been a pilot for the Earth Defense Corps just 1 week ago. His fighter ship had been shot down during a battle near a planet called Kepler 7. Now he was a prisoner of war, floating somewhere in space on an alien prison station. The docking bay was huge and filled with strange sounds. Other prisoners were being moved around by guards who looked like different kinds of monsters from old Earth movies. Some prisoners had fur, others had scales, and a few looked almost human but with wrong colors or extra arms. "Move along," the insect guard said, pushing Jake forward with a weapon that looked like a glowing stick. Jake stumbled but kept walking. His military training told him to observe everything and look for ways to escape later. They walked through long metal hallways that hummed with energy. The air smelled weird, like burning plastic mixed with something sweet. Jake tried to breathe normally, but the air felt too thick in his lungs. "You go to cell block 7, the guard said as they stopped in front of a heavy door. "You are small and weak. Should be safe there with other weak prisoners." The door opened with a loud hiss. Inside was a long hallway with cells on both sides. Each cell had a force field instead of bars, glowing softly with purple light. Jake could see different creatures inside the cells. Some looked sad, others looked angry, and a few seemed to be sleeping. His cell was small but clean. There was a metal bed, a table, and a hole in the wall that he guessed was a toilet. The force field activated as soon as he stepped inside, making a buzzing sound that hurt his ears. "Dinner comes in 2 hours," the guard said. "Do not cause trouble, or you go to maximum security wing. Trust me, human, you do not want to go there." Jake sat on the bed and tried to think. He needed to figure out this place if he wanted to survive. The other prisoners seemed to ignore him, which was probably good. He had heard stories about alien prisons where humans were killed just for being different. Hours passed. A small robot brought him food that looked like gray paste but tasted better than it looked. As he ate, he heard something that made him stop chewing. It was a sound like nothing he had ever heard before, deep and low like the call of a whale, but sadder. The sound came from somewhere far away in the station and seemed to shake the walls. Other prisoners stopped what they were doing and listened too. "What was that?" Jake asked the prisoner in the cell across from him. The creature looked like a lizard that walked upright and had intelligent yellow eyes. "That is the beast in maximum security," the lizard creature said in good English. "It has been here for 2 years. Always makes that sound. Very sad, I think." "What kind of beast?" "Morthak. Very dangerous. They say it destroyed 3 of their patrol ships before they caught it. Now it sits alone in the strongest cell they have." Jake listened as the sound came again. It was definitely sad, like someone crying. But this was no person. This was something much bigger and probably much more dangerous. The next morning, a different guard came to Jake's cell. This one was bigger than the first, with more decorations on its armor. "I am Captain Vexthul," it said. "I run this station. You are the human pilot, yes?" "Lieutenant Jake Murphy, Earth Defense Corps," Jake said, standing at attention. "Good. You have manners. This will help you survive here." The captain's compound eyes looked Jake up and down. "Tell me, human, what do you know about dangerous predators?" "Sir? On your world, what is the most dangerous hunting animal?" Jake thought for a moment. "Probably sharks, sir, or maybe big cats like tigers." "Interesting. The creature you heard last night, the Morthak, is the ultimate predator from its world. 6 limbs, each strong enough to crush steel, claws that can cut through our best armor, and smart, very smart." "Why are you telling me this, sir?" Captain Vexthul clicked his mandibles together, which Jake guessed was like a smile. "Because humans are curious creatures. You will wonder about the sounds, you will ask questions. I want you to understand that thing in maximum security is not a pet. It is a weapon that thinks and feels. The last of its kind, which makes it very valuable to scientists." "The last of its kind?" "We had to eliminate its species to claim their planet for mining. This one was too interesting to kill." The captain said this like he was talking about the weather. "It has been alone for 2 years. Sometimes I think it is going insane." That night, Jake lay on his bed listening to the sad calls from the maximum security wing. He thought about being the last human alive, trapped in a cage while aliens studied him. The idea made his stomach hurt. He understood now why the creature sounded so sad. It was not just imprisoned, it was completely alone in the universe. The last of its people, surrounded by the ones who had killed everyone it had ever known. Jake had lost friends in the war, but he still had hope that other humans were alive somewhere. This Morthak had no such hope. It was the end of its entire species. As he drifted off to sleep, Jake made a decision. He did not know how yet, but somehow he was going to help that creature. Maybe they were both prisoners, but that did not mean they had to be alone. Jake had been in the prison station for 3 weeks when everything changed. He had learned the daily routine. Wake up when the lights came on, eat the gray paste that passed for food, exercise in his cell, and listen to the sad calls from the maximum security wing. The other prisoners had started talking to him. Most of them spoke some English, which seemed to be a common language in this part of the galaxy. He learned that the lizard creature across from him was named Kelp, and had been a traitor before being arrested for smuggling. The furry beast 2 cells down was called Gruff, and used to be a soldier like Jake. Exercise time. announced the guard. This was Jake's favorite part of the day. For 1 hour, all the prisoners in cell block 7 were allowed into a large room with equipment for staying in shape. Jake used the time to run around the edge of the room and do push-ups. Today felt different, though. The guards seemed nervous, checking their weapons more often and talking in their clicking language. Captain Vexthul walked through the block twice, which never happened during normal days. Something is wrong, Kelp whispered to Jake as they walked to the exercise room. The guards are scared. In the exercise room, Jake started his usual routine. He was halfway through his run when the lights began flashing red and a loud alarm started screaming. All the prisoners stopped what they were doing and looked around in confusion. "Security breach in levels 4 and 5, came a voice over the speaker system. "All guards to emergency stations, containment fields are failing." The guards ran out of the exercise room, shouting orders at each other. For a moment, all the prisoners just stood there, not sure what to do. Then they heard, a sound like metal being torn apart, followed by running footsteps in the hallways. "The barriers are down," Gruff said, his ears twitching with excitement. "The force fields between the security levels have failed. Some prisoners ran for the door, hoping to escape. Others hid in corners, afraid of what might be coming." Jake stood in the middle of the room, listening carefully. He could hear the guards shouting, weapons firing, and something else. Heavy footsteps getting closer. The door to the exercise room exploded inward. Through the smoke and twisted metal stepped the largest creature Jake had ever seen. It stood 12 feet tall on 6 powerful legs. Its body was covered in black scales that seemed to absorb light, making it look like a living shadow. Blue lights ran along its spine, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. This was the Morthak. The creature's head was huge, with a mouth full of teeth like knives, but it was the eyes that caught Jake's attention. They were large and intelligent, looking around the room with clear thought behind them. This was not just a beast, this was a person. All the other prisoners had pressed themselves against the walls, too scared to move. The Morthak ignored them completely. It sniffed the air, turning its massive head back and forth. Then its gaze locked onto Jake. For a long moment, human and alien stared at each other across the room. Jake felt like he should be terrified, but instead he felt something else. Recognition. This creature was not looking at him like prey. It was looking at him like it was trying to figure out what he was. The Morthak took a step forward. Its claws clicked against the metal floor. Another step. Jake could smell it now, like wet earth and something wild, but underneath that was another smell, one that made Jake's heart hurt. It was the smell of infection. "You're hurt," Jake said quietly. The creature stopped. Its head tilted to one side like a dog hearing a new sound. Jake could see now that there were metal bands around the creature's wrists and ankles. The bands had cut into the scales, leaving wounds that looked red and swollen. "Those restraints are too tight," Jake continued, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "The infection will spread if you don't clean them." The Morthak made a sound, not the sad call Jake had heard before, but something softer, almost curious. Guards burst into the room, weapons raised. "Get back," one of them shouted. "Prisoner 847, return to your cell immediately." The creature looked at the guards, then back at Jake. For a second, Jake thought it might attack. Instead, it did something unexpected. It lowered its massive head toward Jake, not in threat, but in what looked almost like a bow. "Fascinating," came a voice from the doorway. A human woman in a white coat walked into the room, ignoring the weapons and the dangerous creature. She had short brown hair and intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Dr. Cole, get back," shouted Captain Vexthul as he arrived with more guards. "That thing could kill you." "No, it won't," Dr. Cole said calmly. She looked at Jake with interest. "You're the new human prisoner. What did you say to it?" "I told him his restraints were infected," Jake said, not taking his eyes off the Morthak. "I used to be a medic before I became a pilot." "Him?" Dr. Cole smiled. "How do you know it's male?" Jake thought about it. "I don't know. I just can tell somehow." The Morthak made the soft sound again, looking between Jake and Dr. Cole. It seemed to understand they were talking about it. Incredible, Dr. Cole whispered. In 2 years, this is the first time he's shown interest in communication with anyone. He's been slowly dying from isolation. Enough, Captain Vexthul snapped. Return that thing to maximum security. Now. The guards moved forward with weapons that sparked with electricity. The Morthak looked at them and growled, a sound that made the walls shake. But as the guards got closer, it looked back at Jake one more time. Take care of those wounds, Jake called out as the guards forced the creature back. Clean water and keep them dry. The Morthak's blue lights pulsed brighter for a moment. Then it allowed itself to be led away, its massive form disappearing through the broken doorway. You're either very brave or very stupid, Dr. Cole said to Jake as guards repaired the containment fields. That creature has killed dozens of people. Maybe, Jake said, but right now he's just sick and alone. That night, Jake lay in his cell thinking about what had happened. The Morthak could have killed him easily, but instead it had listened. It had understood. And those eyes. There was a person behind those eyes, trapped and suffering. As he fell asleep, Jake heard something new. Instead of the sad, lonely call he had grown used to, there was a different sound from the maximum security wing. Softer. Almost hopeful. Maybe, Jake thought, they were both a little less alone now. Jake's condition got worse quickly. Within 2 days, he could barely get out of bed. His lungs felt like they were filled with thick liquid, and every breath was a struggle. Dr. Cole moved him to the medical bay, a small room with basic equipment that was not designed for human medicine. I'm doing everything I can, she told him as she checked his temperature. But this infection is spreading fast. Your immune system can't handle the bacteria in this artificial atmosphere. Jake tried to speak but could only manage a weak cough. Through the thin walls of the medical bay, he could hear Rex calling for him. The Morthak's voice had changed from worried to desperate. Rex was calling Jake's name over and over, mixed, with sounds that Dr. Cole said were Morthak words for pain and fear. He knows you're dying, she said quietly. I've never seen anything like this. He's refusing to eat again, and his stress levels are off the charts. On the 3rd day, Jake slipped into unconsciousness. His breathing became shallow and irregular. Dr. Cole stayed by his side, but she had told him honestly that she expected him to die within hours. That was when Rex began his escape. For months, the Morthak had been watching and learning. During his brief time outside maximum security, he had seen the guard rotations, studied the layout of the station, and tested the strength of different materials with careful touches that the guards thought were random movements. Rex had also been slowly loosening one section of his cell wall. Each night, while the guards thought he was sleeping, he had been working at a joint between 2 metal plates. His claws were harder than the guards realized, and Morthak patience was legendary among their people. The wall panel finally gave way during the night shift change, when only 2 guards watched the maximum security wing. Rex pushed through the gap he had created and found himself in a maintenance corridor that ran between the cell walls. The guards discovered his escape within minutes. Alarms began screaming throughout the station, and emergency lights flashed red. Captain Vexthul's voice echoed over the speakers, ordering all personnel to battle stations. But Rex was not trying to escape the station. Using his incredible sense of smell, he followed Jake's scent through the maze of corridors and air ducts. The human smell was weak now, fading, which made Rex move faster. Guards found him in Section C, trying to claw through a reinforced bulkhead. They fired their electric weapons, but Rex's thick scales protected him from the worst of it. He roared in anger and pain but kept digging. It's heading for the medical bay, Captain Vexthul reported to his officers. Stop it before it reaches the human. More guards arrived with heavier weapons. Rex fought them with the fury of a creature that had nothing left to lose. He had already lost his family, his pack, his entire species. He would not lose his one friend, too. The guards managed to drive him back, but Rex simply found another route. He was thinking now like the hunter he had always been, using the station's own structure against his enemies. While they guarded the main corridors, he went through the walls themselves. Rex's claws could cut through metal like paper when he put his full strength behind them. He carved a path straight toward the medical bay, ignoring the damage to his body as weapons fire and falling debris struck him. Dr. Cole heard the sounds of fighting getting closer. She looked down at Jake's pale face and made a decision that went against all her training. "Captain Vexthal," she said into her communicator, "let him through." "Are you insane?" came the reply. "That thing will kill you both." "No, it won't. Can't you see? He's not trying to escape. He's trying to reach Jake. This is grief, Captain. This is love. I will not risk losing our most valuable specimens for the feelings of a beast." But Rex was beyond stopping now. He burst through the final wall in an explosion of sparks and twisted metal. The guards rushed in behind him, weapons ready, expecting to find a scene of carnage. Instead, they found something that none of them had expected. Rex stood in the middle of the medical bay, his massive form barely fitting in the small space. His black scales were scratched and bleeding from his fight through the station. His blue lights pulsed rapidly with stress and exhaustion, but he was not attacking anyone. He was standing perfectly still, staring down at Jake's unconscious form on the medical bed. "Jake," Rex whispered, his deep voice filled with pain. "Jake, wake up." Dr. Cole stepped forward slowly, her hands raised to show she meant no harm. "He's very sick, Rex. His body is fighting an infection." Rex looked at her with those intelligent eyes. "Jake die? Maybe. I don't know how to help him." Rex made a sound that was part growl, part sob. Then he did something that amazed everyone watching. He carefully lowered himself to the floor beside Jake's bed, being extremely careful not to disturb any of the medical equipment. "Rex, help," he said firmly. "Pack helps pack. Jake is Rex's pack now." The Morthak began to sing. It was not the sad song Jake had heard before, or even the peaceful one from recent nights. This was something older, deeper. Dr. Cole realized she was hearing a healing song from the Morthak homeworld, something Rex's people had used for thousands of years to help injured pack members. The song had a strange effect on the medical equipment. The vibrations seemed to help clear the fluid from Jake's lungs, and his breathing became easier. His heart rate stabilized and color began to return to his face. "Impossible," Dr. Cole whispered, checking the readings on her instruments. "The sonic frequencies are actually helping break up the infection." Rex sang for hours without stopping, his massive head resting gently beside Jake's bed. Guards surrounded them with weapons drawn, but no one dared to interrupt what was clearly a sacred ritual. Captain Vexthal arrived to find his most dangerous prisoner performing what could only be called a miracle. The sight of the massive predator gently caring for the small human challenged everything he thought he knew about intelligence, emotion, and the bonds between different species. "Sir," one of the guards whispered. "What are your orders?" "Captain." Vexthal looked at Rex, who was now humming softly while keeping one huge claw gently resting on Jake's hand. The Morthak looked up at him with eyes that were unmistakably pleading. "Stand down," the captain said finally. "Let him stay." Rex continued his healing song through the night, never leaving Jake's side, and slowly, impossibly, the human began to get better. Jake woke up 3 days later to find himself staring into large, concerned eyes. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. Then he realized that Rex was lying on the floor beside his medical bed, one massive claw gently holding his hand. "Rex," Jake's voice was weak but clear. "How did you get here?" The Morthak's blue lights pulsed brighter with excitement. "Jake, awake!" Rex knew Jake would be strong. Humans are fighters. Dr. Cole appeared at Jake's bedside, smiling with relief. "Welcome back. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Rex here has been taking care of you the whole time." Jake looked around the medical bay and saw the hole in the wall where Rex had broken through. Guard stations were set up around the room, but the soldiers looked relaxed rather than threatening. "Broke out of maximum security to reach you," Dr. Cole explained. "Fought through half the station. When we tried to stop him, he made it clear he wasn't leaving your side." Rex was scared, the Morthak said in his improving English. "Jake is pack. Pack protects pack." Tears came to Jake's eyes. He squeezed Rex's claw gently. "Thank you, friend. You saved my life." Rex would do again. Always. Captain Vexthal entered the medical bay, looking different than Jake had ever seen him. The proud alien commander seemed uncertain, almost confused. "The healing song of your people. he said to Rex. I have read about it in old reports, but I thought it was legend. Not legend, Rex replied. Very old knowledge. Pack sings to heal. Pack. Rex learned from grandmother? She learned from her grandmother. But the human is not your species. Rex looked at the captain with something that might have been pity. Captain, not understand. Pack is not about what you look like. Pack is about what you feel inside. Jake is Rex's pack. The captain was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised everyone. I owe you an apology, prisoner 847. I called you a beast, but beasts do not show such loyalty. Beasts do not sacrifice themselves for others. Rex has name, the Morthak said firmly. Jake gave Rex name. Use name. Of course. Rex. The captain's mandibles clicked together in what Jake now recognized as respect. The station medical board has reviewed what happened. Dr. Cole's report states that your healing song saved the human's life when our medicine could not. Dr. Cole nodded. The sonic frequencies broke up the infection in ways our drugs couldn't match. It's incredible medical knowledge that we never would have discovered without Rex's help. Which brings us to a problem, Captain Vexthal continued. News of this incident has reached the Galactic Council. The image of a supposedly dangerous predator caring for a human prisoner has caused quite a stir. Many species are questioning our treatment of prisoners, especially intelligent ones. Jake sat up straighter, though he still felt weak. What does that mean? It means changes are coming, whether I like them or not. The Earth ambassador has filed a formal complaint about prison conditions. The Morthak homeworld has been declared a protected archaeological site, and... The captain paused, clearly struggling with his next words. And I've been ordered to transfer both of you to a minimum security facility where you can remain together. Rex's eyes widened with surprise. Rex and Jake stay together? It appears so. The council has decided that separating bonded prisoners is inhumane. Jake could hardly believe it. We're being moved? To Colony Station 12, Dr. Cole said, grinning. It's more like a small town than a prison. You'll have real rooms, not cells. Freedom to move around. I'm being transferred there too to continue studying the medical applications of Morthaki. Healing songs. Rex made a sound that Jake had never heard before, something that might have been laughter. Rex will teach Dr. Cole all the healing songs. Rex remembers many from the old times. Over the following weeks, as they prepared for transfer, Jake learned more about the impact their friendship had made. The story had spread throughout the galaxy, carried by traders and diplomats. On dozens of worlds, people were talking about the human and the Morthak who had become family. You've become symbols, Dr. Cole told them. Proof that intelligence and compassion exist in many forms. Some planets are already changing their laws about how they treat prisoners from other species. The transfer ship that came for them was nothing like the prison transport that had brought Jake to the station. This one had comfortable seats and large windows. Rex had to duck to fit through the doorways, but the crew treated him with respect, rather than fear. As they left the old station behind, Jake looked out at the stars and thought about how much had changed. A few months ago, he had been a fighter pilot focused on destroying alien ships. Now his best friend was an alien, and together they were helping to change how different species saw each other. Jake thinking deep thoughts, Rex observed, settling into a specially reinforced seat beside him. Just thinking about friendship, Jake replied, about how it can happen in the strangest places. Not strange, Rex said firmly. Pack finds pack. Always has been this way, always will be. Colony Station 12 was everything Dr. Cole had promised. Instead of cells, they had apartments. Instead of gray paste, there was real food from different worlds. Instead of exercise periods, there was a whole community to explore. Jake and Rex were given adjoining rooms with a connecting door that Rex had to enlarge slightly. They spent their days helping other prisoners, teaching languages and sharing stories from their respective worlds. Rex became fascinated with human games, especially chess. Jake taught him to play using pieces carved from scrap metal. The Morthak's strategic mind made him a quick learner, though he sometimes forgot his own strength and accidentally crushed the pieces when he got excited. In return, Rex taught Jake about the constellations visible from his homeworld and shared the traditional songs of his people. Jake learned that the Morthacs had been poets and philosophers as well as hunters, with a rich culture that was now preserved only in Rex's memory. "You're the keeper of your people's history," Jake told him one evening as they sat by a large window watching the stars. "Not just keeper," Rex replied. "Teacher, too. Dr. Cole records all the songs. Someday maybe other people learn about Morthac ways. Maybe Rex's pack not really gone if their stories live on." The peace negotiations between Earth and the Kethvar Empire progressed slowly, but Jake and Rex's friendship had become a powerful symbol for what was possible. Diplomats from both sides visited the colony station to meet them, and many left with changed perspectives on what it meant to be civilized. Years passed. Jake's hair began to show gray, and Rex's scales developed the silver markings that indicated wisdom among his people. They never left the colony station. Technically, they were still prisoners, but their lives there were full and meaningful. They had become teachers, showing others that friendship could bridge any gap, and that family was not about blood or species, but about choice and love. And every night, as Jake fell asleep in his comfortable bed, he could hear Rex in the next room singing the old songs of his people, no longer sad songs of loss, but peaceful songs of contentment and belonging. The last Morthac in the universe was no longer alone, and neither was the human pilot who had chosen to be his friend.